Dr. Sarah Chen stared at her monitor in the Berkeley Observatory, her coffee growing cold beside her keyboard. Something was wrong with the stars. At first, she thought it was an equipment malfunction, entire star clusters seemingly vanishing for milliseconds before reappearing. But after triple-checking her instruments, she realized the truth. Something massive was moving out there. "Professor Williams, you need to see this," she called out, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Her mentor walked over, his weathered face illuminated by the screen's blue glow. Together they watched as another cluster of stars winked out momentarily. "Those aren't equipment glitches," Professor Williams whispered. "Those are ships." Within hours, observatories worldwide confirmed their findings. The objects were approaching Earth at incredible speeds, their massive forms briefly eclipsing starlight as they moved. Sarah worked frantically, calculating their trajectories and size. The numbers were staggering. Each object was roughly the size of Manhattan. The first ship appeared over Tokyo at dawn. Its crystalline surface caught the morning sun, sending rainbow refractions across the city's skyline. Within minutes, similar vessels materialized above every major city on Earth: New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, Cairo. Their perfect geometric shapes hung motionless in the sky, defying every known law of physics. Sarah stood on the observatory's roof, watching the ship hovering above San Francisco Bay. Its surface reminded her of a massive quartz crystal, with facets that seemed to pulse with internal light. As she studied its structure through her portable telescope, she noticed something peculiar about its movement. "The oscillation pattern," she muttered, quickly pulling out her tablet to record readings. Despite appearing stationary, the ship was vibrating at a specific frequency. More importantly, each vibration created a subtle ripple effect in the surrounding atmosphere. The world held its breath for 12 hours before the aliens made contact. Their message, transmitted simultaneously to every electronic device on Earth, was brief. "Your species has 24 hours to surrender control of your planet. Resistance will result in extinction." Global panic erupted immediately. Stock markets crashed, riots broke out in major cities, and military forces worldwide went to high alert. But Sarah barely noticed the chaos. She was too focused on her discovery about the ship's vibration patterns. Racing through the crowded observatory, she burst into the emergency meeting of the university's physics department. "The ships, they're maintaining position through crystalline resonance," she announced, pulling up her data. "They're using precise vibrations to create a form of quantum levitation. But look at this frequency analysis." Professor Williams examined her findings, his eyes widening. "These patterns, they're almost identical to our atmospheric resonance weapons testing from the Quantum Defense Initiative." Sarah nodded eagerly. "Exactly. Their technology may be advanced, but it operates on principles we've already been exploring, which means we might have a way to fight back," Williams finished, reaching for his phone. "I'm calling the Defense Council. Get your data ready for presentation." As Sarah gathered her research, a thought struck her. Humanity's supposed technological inferiority might actually be their greatest advantage. The aliens clearly expected them to surrender. They had no idea what humans could do when backed into a corner. The ultimate battle for survival was about to begin, and Sarah Chen had just found humanity's first ray of hope. The Defense Council's underground bunker hummed with nervous energy as Sarah presented her findings. Generals and scientists from around the world watched through secure video feeds, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of screens. "The aliens' ships maintain their position through crystalline resonance," Sarah explained, pointing to her data. "Their entire technology appears to be based on precisely controlled vibrations. This makes them incredibly powerful, but also potentially vulnerable." General Martinez leaned forward. "Vulnerable how, Dr. Chen?" "Every crystal has a natural frequency at which it shatters," Sarah replied, pulling up a simulation. "We've been developing sonic weapons that operate on similar principles. If we can match their ship's resonant frequency..." The first attack came without warning. The crystalline ships above New York and London simultaneously released energy beams that carved perfect circles through both cities' financial districts. The demonstration of power was precise, surgical, and terrifying. Earth's military forces responded immediately. Fighter jets screamed toward the alien vessels, launching everything in their arsenal. Conventional weapons bounced off the ship's crystalline surfaces harmlessly until they tried the sonic cannons. Sarah watched from the bunker's command center as the modified weapons hit their targets. The effect was instantaneous. Cracks appeared in the nearest ship's surface, spreading like spider webs across its crystalline structure. The vessel's perfect geometry began to distort. "It's working," Professor Williams shouted, but Sarah noticed something concerning in the readings. "They're adapting," she warned. "The ship is changing its resonant frequency." Above New York, the damaged alien vessel shifted its crystal structure, the cracks sealing themselves. But in that moment of adaptation, something unexpected happened. The ship's defense field flickered, and a conventional missile slipped through. The explosion was spectacular. Crystalline shards rained down over the Atlantic Ocean as the ship disintegrated. For a moment, complete silence filled the command center. Humanity had just destroyed its first alien vessel. The victory was short-lived. The remaining ships immediately retreated to high orbit, beyond the range of Earth's weapons. But they left something behind, the broken remnants of their fallen companion. "General," Sarah said, breaking the silence, "we need to get to those ship fragments, especially any pieces that appear intact. Understanding their crystalline technology is our best chance of survival." Within hours, Sarah found herself aboard a military helicopter headed for the impact site in the North Atlantic. The recovery team included experts in crystallography, quantum physics, and alien technology, though the latter experts had only existed for about 12 hours. As they approached the debris field, Sarah's tablet began picking up strange energy readings. The crystal fragments were still active, humming with internal power. More importantly, they were resonating in patterns that seemed strangely familiar. "These frequencies," she muttered, comparing them to her earlier data. "They're not random. It's almost like—" Her eyes widened as realization struck. The crystal fragments weren't just humming. They were responding to the electrical activity of human brains aboard the helicopter. The aliens' technology wasn't just similar to their research, it was fundamentally linked to consciousness itself. Sarah reached for her satellite phone. They had just discovered something that could change everything about this war if they could figure it out before the aliens returned. The research facility beneath the Rocky Mountains buzzed with activity as scientists studied the recovered crystal fragments. Sarah hadn't slept in 36 hours, but adrenaline kept her going. Every test revealed something new about the alien technology. "Look at this," she called to Professor Williams, pointing at her neural scanning display. The crystal in the testing chamber pulsed with soft blue light in response to her brain activity. "It's not just responding to our thoughts, it's trying to establish a connection." Williams adjusted his glasses, studying the readouts. Like a quantum neural network. The aliens must use these crystals as both computers and communication devices. He paused, frowning at a particular data stream. "But something's odd about how it processes our brainwaves." Sarah nodded, pulling up comparison charts. Their technology expects organized, structured thought patterns. Instead, it's receiving our chaotic human consciousness, dreams, emotions, random thoughts. It's like trying to play a symphony on an instrument designed for single notes. The implications hit them both simultaneously. The aliens' technological superiority was built on rigid, crystalline thinking patterns. Human consciousness, with its messy creativity and lateral connections, was completely foreign to their systems. A young technician burst into the lab, tablet in hand. "Dr. Chen, the orbital satellites just picked up movement. The alien fleet is reorganizing near Mars." Sarah rushed to the main display screen, watching the tactical overlay. Hundreds of crystal ships were forming a precise geometric pattern in Mars' orbit. Their formation looked like a massive snowflake, beautiful and terrifying. "They're preparing for another attack," General Martinez announced as he entered the lab. "Our estimates give us 5 days at most. Please tell me you found something we can use." Sarah exchanged glances with Williams before addressing the general. "We think we have. The aliens' entire civilization is built on crystalline technology that mirrors their thought patterns. Ordered, predictable, perfect. But human consciousness is that opposite, creative, chaotic, emotional." She gestured to the pulsing crystal fragment. "Their ships literally can't process our type of thinking. It's like trying to run quantum software on a binary computer. If we could amplify human brainwave patterns, we could disrupt their entire fleet," Williams finished. "But we need a way to broadcast human consciousness on a massive scale. The power requirements alone would be astronomical." The general studied the crystal fragment thoughtfully. "What if we use their own technology against them? These crystals amplify and transmit consciousness. Could we modify them?" Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. Maybe, if we could create a network of modified crystals powered by human brainwaves. She trailed off, already calculating the requirements. "We'd need volunteers, hundreds of them, and a way to safely connect their minds to the crystal network." "I'll have the engineers start working on power solutions," Martinez said. "You have 3 days to figure out the rest. The fate of humanity depends on it." As the general left, Sarah turned back to the crystal fragment. Its glow had intensified, matching her heightened emotional state. She placed her hand against the containment chamber, watching the patterns shift in response. "Our greatest weakness might just be our greatest strength," she whispered. Now they just had to prove it before the aliens returned. The first test of Project Resonance shattered every window within a mile of the facility. Sarah watched from behind reinforced glass as volunteers connected to the crystal network convulsed in their chairs. Emergency teams rushed in, disconnecting them from the system. "We need to stabilize the neural interface," she said, reviewing the data scrolling across her screen. "The human mind produces too many random patterns. We need to focus the output somehow." Professor Williams wheeled in a young woman in her 20s. "Meet Maya Patel. She's a concert pianist, and I think she might be our solution." Maya smiled nervously, her fingers tapping an invisible keyboard on her wheelchair armrest. Professor Williams said my brain might help. Something about musical training. Sarah's eyes lit up with understanding. Of course, musicians have highly structured yet creative thought patterns. Their minds bridge the gap between chaos and order. She turned to Maya eagerly. "Would you be willing to try connecting to the system?" The pianist nodded, and the team began preparing her for connection. This time, they added neural dampeners to control the feedback loop. Maya closed her eyes as the crystal-enhanced headset was placed on her head. The effect was immediate. The crystal network hummed to life, but instead of the previous chaotic energy burst, it produced a harmonious resonance. The monitoring equipment showed stable patterns, complex yet controlled. "It's beautiful," Maya whispered, her eyes still closed. "I can feel the crystals singing. They're like an instrument I've never played before." Sarah's team worked through the night, refining the interface. They'd brought in more musicians, artists, and even children. Their imaginative minds proved particularly effective at producing the right kind of thought patterns. But as they made progress, another problem emerged. The power requirements were enormous. Each successful test drained enough energy to power a small city. "Even if we get this working perfectly, we don't have enough power to run it at the scale we need," General Martinez pointed out during the morning briefing. "The alien fleet is 3 days out, and our global power grid can barely handle our current tests." Sarah stared at the power consumption graphs, feeling despair creep in. They were so close to a solution, yet still so far. The sound of Maya practicing on a piano in the break room drifted through the facility, her music a counterpoint to their growing anxiety. Suddenly, Sarah straightened. The music, it's all about resonance. What if we're thinking about power all wrong? Instead of generating all the energy ourselves, what if we use the Earth's natural electromagnetic field to amplify our signal? Williams caught on immediately. Like a giant antenna, using the planet's own magnetic field to broadcast our consciousness into space. He paused, considering the implications. But modifying the Earth's electromagnetic field, the risks would be enormous. More risky than letting the aliens win. Sarah asked quietly. The general studied both scientists for a long moment before reaching for his phone. I'll have our engineers run the numbers. But if this is our only shot, we need to take it. As if underlining their desperation, Maya's piano music shifted to a minor key, echoing through the troubled silence of the command center. Above them, somewhere beyond the Earth's atmosphere, the alien fleet drew ever closer. The solution came from an unexpected source. Lisa Zhang, a 16-year-old prodigy who had been watching the scientists work, raised her hand during a briefing meeting. What if we use the auroras? Sarah turned to the teenager, who had been brought in as part of the think tank due to her extraordinary work in electromagnetic theory. The auroras? How? The northern and southern lights are visible manifestations of Earth's electromagnetic field interacting with solar wind, Lisa explained, quickly sketching on her tablet. If we position project resonance transmitters at key points along these electromagnetic corridors, we could piggyback on the planet's natural energy flow. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Sarah and Professor Williams exchanged glances before diving into calculations. Within hours, their simulations confirmed Lisa's theory. It could work. But there was a catch. They would need to plant electromagnetic beacons on the alien command ship to create a feedback loop strong enough to affect the entire fleet. It was a suicide mission, but humanity had run out of alternatives. I volunteer, Sarah said, standing before the Defense Council. I understand the crystal technology better than anyone. If something goes wrong up there, we'll need someone who can adapt. The council selected a small team to accompany her: Captain James Rodriguez, a special forces operator with advanced tactical training, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, an expert in quantum mechanics, and surprisingly, Maya Patel, whose unique connection to the crystal network made her invaluable. Their ship, retrofitted with salvaged alien crystal technology, lifted off under the cover of darkness. They rode the electromagnetic currents Lisa had identified, their vessel cloaked by a combination of human stealth technology and crystal resonance. As they approached the massive alien command ship, Sarah felt her heart racing. The crystalline structure before them dwarfed anything humanity had ever built, its geometric patterns shifting in the starlight. Energy spike, Yuki called out. They're scanning this sector. Captain Rodriguez guided their ship into a blind spot they had identified in the alien vessel's detection grid. The team held their breath as a patrol of smaller crystal ships passed nearby. The entry point is 30 meters ahead, Sarah whispered, though there was no need for quiet in space. Maya, are you ready? The pianist nodded, her hands steady on the neural interface controls. They had discovered that her musical mind could temporarily confuse the alien ship's defenses, creating a window for them to slip through. Maya closed her eyes, connecting to their ship's crystal matrix. The alien vessel's defensive patterns began to fluctuate, responding to her improvised mental melody. A small opening appeared in the crystalline hull. Now, Rodriguez commanded, piloting their ship through the gap. They landed in what appeared to be a maintenance bay, the crystal walls pulsing with internal light. As the team prepared to disembark, Sarah received one final transmission from Earth. Lisa's voice crackled through their comms. The alien fleet has changed course. They're accelerating. New estimated arrival time, 18 hours. Sarah checked her equipment one last time. They had to plant the beacons and activate them before the fleet reached Earth. The fate of humanity now rested on their ability to turn the aliens' greatest strength into their ultimate weakness. Inside the alien command ship, crystalline corridors stretched in every direction, their surfaces rippling with pulses of light. Sarah led the team through the labyrinth, following the increasing resonance patterns on her scanner. "The central control matrix should be 2 levels up," she whispered. Maya walked beside her, eyes half closed, using her enhanced connection to the crystal network to sense patrol movements. Captain Rodriguez and Dr. Tanaka guarded their flanks. Suddenly, Maya grabbed Sarah's arm. "Something's changed. The crystals, they're singing differently." Before anyone could respond, the ship's internal lighting shifted from blue to deep red. Through their comms, Lisa's voice crackled urgently. "The alien fleet has launched their attack. They're targeting the Project Resonance stations." Earth's defenses responded immediately. The modified sonic weapons fired at the approaching ships, their frequencies now tuned to match the crystal resonance patterns. Some alien vessels shattered, but others adapted quickly, their structures shifting to neutralize the threat. Inside the command ship, Sarah's team raced against time. They encountered their first alien defenders, crystalline constructs that moved with liquid grace. Rodriguez fired his modified pulse rifle, the quantum-charged shots disrupting their crystal matrix. The beacons must be placed in a triangular formation around the central core. Dr. Tanaka reminded them as they fought their way forward. The geometry has to be perfect for the electromagnetic field to propagate correctly. They reached the central chamber just as Earth's defenses began to falter. Through the ship's crystalline walls, they could see the battle raging below. The alien fleet had adapted to humanity's sonic weapons and was systematically targeting power stations and military installations. The central core rose before them like a massive geode, its faceted surface alive with pulsing energy. As they approached, Sarah noticed something strange about the patterns. These aren't just power fluctuations, she realized, studying the rhythmic pulses. This is their language, pure crystalline communication. Maya stepped forward, placing her hand on the crystal's surface. Her eyes widened. "I can feel their thoughts. They're afraid, not of us, but of what we represent." But there was no time to process this revelation. The team split up, each racing to position their beacons. Sarah reached her designated point and activated the device. Its electromagnetic pulse synced with the crystal structure, creating a resonance that made the entire chamber vibrate. "Beacon 1 active," she reported. Across the chamber, Rodriguez and Tanaka confirmed their beacons were also in place. The effect was immediate. The core's pulsing patterns became erratic as Earth's electromagnetic field, channeled through the auroras and amplified by the beacons, began to interfere with the alien fleet's crystal network. Through their comms, they heard Lisa's excited voice. "It's working. The electromagnetic disruption is cascading through their entire fleet. Their ships are losing coordination." But as Sarah watched the chaos unfold, Maya's expression changed from concentration to wonder. "Wait," the pianist said softly, her hand still touching the crystal surface. "There's something else in their network, something they've been hiding from themselves." Maya's connection to the crystal core deepened, her expression shifting between wonder and sadness. "The Cracksfall weren't always like this," she said softly. "They used to be different, more like us." Sarah approached the core, her scanner forgotten in her hand. The chamber's crystalline walls pulsed with cascading patterns of light, reflecting the chaos their electromagnetic disruption was causing throughout the alien fleet. "What do you mean, more like us?" Dr. Tanaka asked, adjusting the nearest beacon's frequency to maintain the interference pattern. Maya's fingers traced patterns on the crystal surface as if playing an invisible piano. "I'm seeing their memories. Long ago, they lived in crystal caves on their homeworld. They were artists, explorers, creators. The crystals were their partners, not their masters." Through their comms, they could hear the ongoing battle. Earth's forces were taking advantage of the fleet's disrupted coordination. But the aliens were adapting, their ships reconfiguring to operate independently. Something changed them. Maya continued, tears streaming down her face. Another species came to their world, beings of pure energy who saw the Kraxthal's potential and their connection to the crystals as a threat. The core's surface rippled under Maya's touch, projecting images around them. They saw vast crystal cities shattering, a civilization falling into chaos. The surviving Kraxthal made a choice that would forever change their species. They merged completely with their crystal technology. They sacrificed their creativity, their chaos, that individuality, Sarah realized. They became like the crystals themselves, ordered, perfect, unchanging. It was the only way they could survive. Captain Rodriguez checked his tactical display. That's fascinating, but Earth is running out of time. The fleet is regrouping, adapting to our interference. Don't you see? Maya turned to face them, her eyes reflecting the crystal's light. They're attacking Earth because they recognize themselves in us. What they used to be, what they lost. They're afraid we'll follow their path and become an even greater threat than the beings that nearly destroyed them. Sarah's mind raced. The aliens' rigid, crystalline nature wasn't their true strength. It was a prison they had built for themselves out of fear. Their attack on Earth wasn't about conquest. It was about preventing what they saw as an inevitable tragedy. The electromagnetic disruption, she said suddenly. We're not just interfering with their ships. We're breaking through centuries of self-imposed order, making them feel again. As if confirming her words, the core's pulsing patterns began to change. The sharp geometric sequences became more fluid, more organic. Through their comms, they heard Lisa reporting similar changes throughout the alien fleet. Their ships, the teenager's voice crackled with excitement. They're not just losing coordination, they're transforming. The crystal structures are becoming more natural. Maya pressed both hands against the core, her pianist's fingers moving in complex patterns. They're remembering, she whispered, but they're afraid. After so long in their crystal shells, they don't know if they can change back, if they should. Sarah looked at her team, then at the swirling patterns of light surrounding them. They had come here to destroy the alien fleet's coordination. Instead, they had found something far more powerful, the truth that could end the war. Sarah stood before the crystal core, her mind racing with possibilities. The electromagnetic beacons continued their disruption, but now she saw them in a different light. They weren't just weapons, they were keys, unlocking a door the Kraxthal had sealed centuries ago. Maya, she said, turning to the pianist, can you show them who we are? Not just our thoughts, but our music, our art, our dreams. Maya nodded, understanding immediately. Her fingers moved across the crystal surface like piano keys, but this time she wasn't trying to create interference. She was playing Earth's story, centuries of human creativity, innovation, and resilience. Through the crystal network, her melody carried images of Earth's greatest achievements, symphonies and sculptures, scientific breakthroughs and space exploration, tales of courage and compassion. Most importantly, it showed how humanity had faced its own fears and challenges without sacrificing its essence. The core's pulsing patterns changed, matching the rhythm of Maya's symphony. Through their comms, Lisa reported similar changes rippling through the alien fleet. The ships, they're responding. Their crystal structures are becoming more organic, more fluid. Around them, the command ship's rigid geometric patterns began to flow like liquid light. The crystalline walls resonated with new frequencies, creating harmonies with Maya's music. It was as if the entire vessel was awakening from a long frozen sleep. Suddenly, new images appeared in the chamber. The Kraxthal were responding. They shared visions of their own past, crystal gardens where art and science merged, cities that sang with the music of their people, discoveries that bridged the gap between consciousness and crystal. They remember, Maya whispered, tears streaming down her face. They remember who they were. The battle above Earth slowed, then stopped. The alien ships hung motionless in space, their surfaces shifting like auroras as centuries of rigid control began to melt away. Through the crystal network, the Kraxthol spoke not in sharp, commanding tones, but in music. "They're asking if it's possible," Maya translated, her hands still moving across the crystal surface. "If they can find balance between order and chaos, between crystal and consciousness." Sarah stepped forward, placing her hand beside Maya's on the core. "Show them Earth," she said. "Show them our cities where ancient temples stand beside modern towers. Show them how we preserve our past while embracing our future." The core pulsed with new energy as Maya wove these images into her symphony. The entire ship hummed with resonance, but now it wasn't the cold, perfect tone of before. It was rich with harmonics, with variation, with life. Through their comms, they heard celebrations erupting across Earth as the alien fleet began to descend. But they weren't attacking, they were transforming. The crystalline ships flowed like liquid light, reforming into structures of breathtaking beauty that combined geometric precision with organic grace. "They're ready," Maya said, finally stepping back from the core. "Ready to remember, to change, to grow again." Sarah looked out at the transformed fleet, now a bridge between two civilizations. Humanity had won not through superior firepower or technology, but by showing the Kraxthol a path back to themselves. They had proven that true strength lies not in perfect order or pure chaos, but in the courage to embrace both. As the first light of dawn broke over Earth, it illuminated a sky filled not with invaders, but with new allies, their crystal ships catching the sunlight like prisms, scattering rainbow colors across the world below.